Tonight on Ukraine Today, Ukrainian strikes hit the mark. A logistics hub destroyed. 2 Russian oil refineries out of service. A daring intelligence operation. Ukrainian fighters went deep behind enemy lines in the Sumy region and took out dozens of invaders. Russian terror continues. From mass missile strikes to Shaheds armed with new tech. And nuclear secrets revealed. Ukraine got hold of secret blueprints for a Russian nuclear submarine. All that and more, right now. Hi there, my name is Volodymyr Robchun. Please hit that like button, subscribe, and let's get to the news. Ukrainian drones struck a major Russian logistics center in the Rostov region. This facility used to move oil and fuel. Russia's defense ministry claims it shot down dozens of drones, though, judging by the damage, some of those drones were downed by their targets. Also, Ukraine's defense forces took out 2 oil refineries in Russia. That's according to Reuters. The Ryazan refinery is now running at half capacity. The Novokuybyshev refinery completely shut down. After this hit, Kremlin started talking about a so-called air ceasefire. Suspicious, right? They say it's about peace, but when it comes to Russia, it's always a trap. Details in the story.
The last month of summer for Russians began not with vacations and picnics, but with statements about a possible nuclear war. US President Donald Trump announced the deployment of American submarines armed with nuclear weapons to combat positions. Mr. President, regarding Russia, can you say whether these nuclear submarines have already been deployed against Russia?
I've already made a statement, and the answer is they are in the region. Yes, right where they are supposed to be.
For Moscow, which for many years threatened with the red button, it was a great humiliation to find itself in the role of the one being threatened. But instead of admitting that their special operation has reached a dead end, Russia is resorting to an old trick and summoning its loyal dog to Valam, Alexander Lukashenko. He is the one entrusted to voice yet another supposedly peacekeeping idea, the so-called air truce.
An air truce. I'm telling you, Russia is interested in this, and President Putin as well. But you don't want that, do you? Tell Zelensky to agree to this so that there won't be these flying devices falling on people's heads. This is a dangerous escalation. We need to put an end to this, and we need to do it carefully.
And the reason for such a sudden change in tone is simple: Ukrainian drones. More precisely, they're well-planned and precise strikes on Russian military targets. Because behind these attacks there is not chaos, but a system where targets are chosen deliberately. The strikes are aimed at what hurts the occupiers most: logistics, communications, production, and airfields. And the latest strikes on the terrorist state are further proof of that. Recently, Ukrainian UAVs attacked the Novokuybyshev oil refinery, located almost 1,000 kilometers from the border. Then there was the airfield in Primorsko-Akhtarsk, from where Russia launches Shaheds, and the electropower plant in Penza, which supplies the army with communications equipment and cryptographic protection. And once again, the myth of the supposedly impenetrable Russian air defense was debunked.
What Lukashenko is saying indicates that Ukrainian drone strikes are actually very precise, effective, and painful for Russia, because Russia is willing to give up its own drone and missile attacks, these terrorist raids on Ukrainian cities, and declare an air ceasefire just to stop these Ukrainian drone raids on Russian territory. Notably, Putin did not voice this proposal. It's clear why, right? Because for him, it's too humiliating. After all, Putin keeps saying that everything is going according to plan for him. Russia is advancing, Russia is winning, and there are no problems at all. Therefore, in order not to admit that things are actually not going according to plan, he assigned his vassal to voice the proposal for an air ceasefire.
Unlike the Russian Federation, Ukraine acts according to a clear, well-thought-out logic. The goal is not random strikes, but a systematic testing of the enemy's defensive mechanisms for resilience. For example, the airfield in Primorsko-Akhtarsk has become a target more than once. But even after a series of attacks, the Russian air defense system is still unable to cope. There is still not enough cover. The same goes for the strikes on the plant in Penza. This is not just about reaching the target, it's a demonstration of real technical capabilities. More than 700 kilometers deep into the country, and this is already the second such operation after the strike on the Stavropol radio plant. It is precisely these kinds of strikes that show the Ukrainian armed forces are hitting the most vulnerable spots. And each such pinpoint strike, even with all the Kremlin's resources, even with Chinese support, can set back production for weeks, if not months.
This is actually a very important statement. All this time, throughout this entire war, they have been regularly trying to deceive us as if no one is offering any kind of reasonable peace. No one is even proposing a complete freeze, a full ceasefire. Although, to be honest, I think such a proposal would not be in our favor. But even that is not being made, yet they regularly try to force us to give up certain elements of the war. So, Putin will be allowed everything that's convenient for him, while we won't be allowed anything that's inconvenient for Putin. These so-called energy ceasefires, now an air ceasefire, all these partial elements of a ceasefire, they are not steps toward peace, they are steps toward Russia's victory.
That is precisely why the Kremlin is pushing the idea of an air silence. Not because Russia has repented, but because the aggressor country needs to buy time, including ahead of meetings with Western politicians, in order to appear capable of negotiations and to show Washington at least some kind of positive dynamic. Meanwhile, brutal fighting continues on the front line.
Ukraine is fighting for freedom. Support independent Ukrainian journalism so we can keep telling the truth about Russia's war. Click the link in the description to become our sponsor. And don't forget to like, subscribe, comment and share this video if you think it's worth it. Thank you. Ukraine's intelligence released footage from the special operation in the Sumy region. Their fighters went deep into enemy territory and wiped out Russian troops. According to reports, at least 334 invaders were killed, over 550 wounded. In just the past 24 hours, Russia lost at least 1,120 troops, dead and wounded. Since the start of the full-scale war, that's already 1,058,260. Also in the past day, Ukrainian forces destroyed 2 Russian tanks, 12 armored vehicles, 28 artillery systems and dozens more pieces of Russia's military gear. Ukrainian forces captured some familiar faces, Russian soldiers who had already been exchanged a month ago. One of them, Saktargai Shaga, a contract soldier from Tuva. He surrendered back in January 2025, was exchanged back in June and then sent to the front again. Now he's back in Ukrainian captivity. Another one, Dmitry Ivanov, wounded in 2024, captured, then exchanged, and once again caught by Ukrainian forces. Call it the recycled invader program. President Volodymyr Zelensky visited the Kharkiv region. He met with Ukrainian troops, discussed the frontline situation, combat dynamics, supply issues and direct funding for brigades. He also met with civilians, including local youth.
Here in Kharkiv, I met today with young guys and girls, very young, but they already know what they want, who they want to be, and that their choice is Ukraine. An independent Ukraine. We're all fighting for one thing, independence for Ukraine. And this is a battle we still have to win, together, all Ukrainians, men and women alike. I'm absolutely sure that we will win it. Ukraine will always be independent, it will always be strong, just like our people. Thank you, people. Glory to Ukraine.
Meanwhile, the city of Lozova in the Kharkiv region faced the most massive attack since the war began. There are casualties and injuries. Critical infrastructure was hit, along with apartment buildings, private homes and the local train station. Russians used Shahed drones, and more strikes hit Zaporizhia, Odessa and Sumy regions with both ballistic missiles and drones. In Bilenka village, near Zaporizhia, Russians used FPV drones to hunt civilians.
Every voice matters. Join our community, support independent journalism and help us bring you the truth from Ukraine. Become a member of Ukraine Today. Join us now.
In several regions, new types of Shaheds were spotted, carrying 2 cassettes of anti-tank mines under their wings. These are magnetic mines that detect nearby vehicles. Ukrainians are urged to stay away from any suspicious objects and absolutely no driving near them. Now to the nuclear submarine secrets. Ukraine's military intelligence got its hands on the classified blueprints for the Russian submarine Князь Пожарский, the one that Putin personally launched into the water. More details in the story.
A small plaque is welded onto the hull of the submarine. It may not seem like a very spectacular event, but it is a historic ceremony. Knyaz Pozharsky, with factory number 208, will be the last in the line of Borei-class nuclear submarines. The submarines are named after the swift, unstoppable northern wind, a pinnacle of Russian scientific and technological achievement.
They talked about it for almost 10 years. They promised it would be a breakthrough.
In the future, Knyaz Pozharsky will form the backbone of Russia's naval strategic nuclear forces for decades to come.
The strategic submarine Knyaz Pozharsky was added to the Northern Fleet of the Russian Navy quite recently on July 24, 2025.
Comrade Supreme Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Russian Federation, the honor guard for your arrival is assembled.
In front of the shabby building stood sailors dressed up for the occasion. The national anthem of the Russian Federation was also played. This is how the Russian dictator Putin accepted the Pozharsky into active duty.
In Severodvinsk, one of Russia's most prominent and historically significant shipbuilding centers, we are proudly raising the distinguished naval flag on the newly completed state-of-the-art strategic submarine cruiser, majestically named Knyaz Pozharsky, a truly formidable addition to our fleet.
Russia's new nuclear submarine cruiser, Knyaz Pozharsky, terrified the French to the point of trembling. "This is a real monster, there's no escape from it," wrote Russian media. Meanwhile, Ukrainian intelligence officers were observing the Kremlin's hysteria. After all, one of the key elements of the so-called Kremlin nuclear triad is no secret to them.
Are you ready to proudly raise the distinguished naval flag high? Permission to proceed.
Permission granted.
Raise the flag.
Ukrainian intelligence agencies have recently and quite remarkably published a comprehensive collection of internal documents pertaining to Russia's very newest and highly anticipated submarine, which is officially designated as the Knyaz Pozharsky. This significant release provides an unprecedented look into the vessel's specifications and capabilities. The intelligence service obtained a full list of the submarine crew members by name, including information about their positions, qualifications, and physical fitness levels.
During the launching ceremony, the ship's commander breaks a bottle of champagne against the stern. The nuclear-powered submarine Knyaz Pozharsky is the 8th in the Knyaz series, submarines of the 4th generation under the Borei and Borei-A projects. The exact list of weapons on the submarine cruiser is a state secret.
At their disposal are engineering documentation, the inspection report of the deformed radio buoy, listing the commission members from the enterprises involved in the investigation. The combat instructions for the crew, the ship's combat layout, the life support systems diagram, and the organizational structure of the crew are also known.
Such formidable vessels truly form the essential backbone of the naval strategic nuclear forces, and given their significant modernization potential, will undoubtedly ensure the enduring security of our state for many decades to come, providing a robust and reliable deterrent.
Crew regulations in cabins and berths, instructions for transferring the wounded and cargo, procedures for towing, and other official instructions, all these documents have already been studied by the main intelligence directorate.
All the shortcomings that were present on the first ships have been taken into account. All the equipment and weaponry have been thoroughly refined. That's why its uniqueness lies in the fact that it's the 8th one. The 8th, can you imagine? The 8th.
The data, which were considered secret in the Russian Federation, revealed all the features of the submarine Knyaz Pozharsky.
Thanks to the use of advanced engineering solutions, the ship is equipped with modern power plants and navigation instruments. The conditions for the crew's service and rest have been significantly improved.
It turned out that despite the defects and traces of corrosion shown in the photographs published along with the documents, the submarine was put on duty.
The ships built at Sevmash continue the proud tradition of serving the motherland under the names of people who have brought glory to this country, this land, this nation.
But not only does the submarine itself have defects according to the documentation, the physical fitness of part of the crew is also low, which may indicate problems with combat readiness.
What was invested in this ship?
Knowledge, experience, skills, the hands of workers, and of course, soul and heart.
Knyaz Pozharsky was laid down at Sevmash in Severodvinsk in 2016 and launched in February 2024. Despite all the challenges, the 170-meter-long submarine arrived at its permanent base, the main submarine base of the Northern Fleet in Gadzhievo, Murmansk region, on August 2nd. The intelligence obtained by Ukrainian reconnaissance makes it possible to identify not only the features and technical limitations of this particular submarine, but also of other submarines of Project 955A, which are critically important for maintaining the imperial myth of the aggressor state Russia.
Germany has deployed its Eurofighter jets to Poland ahead of the planned Russian-Belarusian West 2025 military drills this fall. That's according to Bild. Germany's Air Force says it's about protecting NATO's airspace and showing deterrence. And finally, daily dose of Russian propaganda madness. From Trump as enemy number one to fake paradise in temporarily occupied Ukrainian territories. Here's your crash course in zombie trash, straight from Russian TV.
The past week did not disappoint once again. Reality seems to be competing with itself in absurdity. The events and statements that happened over these days could easily have been scenes from a dark comedy if only they weren't so real. These days, when child rearing is increasingly discussed in the context of psychology and human rights, Father Tkachev suddenly appears with an unexpected pastoral initiative. During one of his broadcasts, he shared a spiritually practical life hack. It turns out you can beat children, but only under one important condition: the family must be complete. Apparently, without both mom and dad together, the belt is not sanctified.
In order for physical punishment to be used at least somewhat properly, a complete family is necessary. A child needs to have an image of both mercy and strictness. If the family is incomplete, then none of this works at all.
Donetsk, once a beautiful Ukrainian city with European ambitions, today looks like a post-apocalyptic art installation. Local residents draw water from puddles not for fun, but out of sheer necessity.
Look at what they've done to people. That they're scooping up water right off the asphalt from a burst storm drain. How far do you have to push people for them to end up like this? It's a nightmare.
On the night of July 31st, the Russian army launched yet another strike on Kyiv. Russian shelling claimed the lives of more than 30 people, including children. The building collapsed onto sleeping families. Blood, concrete, sirens, and somewhere in a warm Russian studio with coffee and a microphone, the propagandist Pankin sits with a satisfied smirk and announces,
"You have to admit, Kyiv got hit and hit hard. All night long videos were spreading through the best Telegram channels."
In Russia, there is disorder, systemic, rotten, and everyday. A state that kills Ukrainian children, women, and men every day is fundamentally incapable of even taking basic care of those living under its own flag. But on the country's main TV channels, not a word about water, drones, or the dead. The main topic: who Zelensky is sleeping with.
He hasn't found a way to overcome his fears. Or rather, he has, but it's a very peculiar one. Friends, you won't believe it, but he sleeps with his aide Yermak in a bunker deep beneath Kyiv. And this isn't some Kremlin fabrication. Vladimir Vladimirovich is smiling. He knows who wrote about it. Journalists from the Financial Times.
In Kuzbas, mobile internet was completely shut down, supposedly to increase security. But the surrealism didn't end there. The governor of the Nizhny Novgorod region decided that this wasn't a catastrophe at all, but on the contrary, a reason to celebrate.
I'd like to address the guests of our city, the tourists, and ask them to be understanding about this, to treat it as a wellness procedure, a kind of detox, right? Really? After all, we still have internet, but it's available through wired channels and Wi-Fi, and we will be expanding the number of Wi-Fi hotspots.
Valentina Matvienko, a representative of the upper echelons of the clan that has long since stopped hiding its cannibalistic instincts, flew to Switzerland, not to a bomb shelter, not to the ruins of Mariupol, but to a cozy, neutral, and clean country. Why? To talk about the peace that Russia supposedly brings to Ukraine.
Russia was forced to intervene in order to stop this bloodshed, to stop the killing of innocent people.
Political analyst Solonikov stated that the so-called liberation of Chasiv Yar is a significant achievement and a great victory. Apparently, for those who consider a city destroyed to the ground an object of pride, such words are the norm.
Chasiv Yar is a settlement that has long been well known. Its name is now widely and truly recognized far beyond the immediate line of contact. And that is precisely why it genuinely sounds incredibly proud and will undoubtedly have a profoundly significant impact, both among those brave individuals who are actively fighting on the front lines and among those who are diligently following our courageous guys as they steadily advance. This is truly a remarkably significant achievement, a truly major and decisive victory.
That's all for today. Thanks for watching. Thank you for your support. Strength to Ukraine's defenders. Glory to Ukraine. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment and share this video. See you next time.